Hello everyone, welcome once again to Investing with a Difference. It has been a long time. We have been very busy, and I imagine a lot of people have been talking to us about talking about our opinions. And so we are trying to get back to you. We also had some hiccups because of some issues with our YouTube channel when we were reported for spam. So again, if definitely it would help a lot if you guys can like, subscribe to our channel, and do share, because that statistics come in handy in such scenarios. So what really happened was, as you know, that there are a lot of discussion around governance. Colin talked about it, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because I think we have had quite a few days of discussion. All of you, if you're following Twitter, if you're following other YouTube channels on EOS, I'm sure you're aware of what's going on. There has been a debate around vote buying, vote trading, and what happened with us was because we were approached quite a few times from these agents who were looking for taking over proxy of Investing with a Difference, and I think it's very obvious that it doesn't make sense for us to participate. So it's not about, I'm not trying to show any moral high ground here. Of course, I don't believe in it. Of course, I don't think that voting should be based on rewards. But as you all know, that anybody who already wanted rewards, they have exited our proxy. They're already going to these exchanges and so on. And you are free to do that if you really believe that's the right thing. The point here is that we sincerely believe that the 4%, 3% return on an annual basis is nothing on a daily basis, right? Means we have seen the token price of EOS crash from June to now by 70%. What will you gain by earning 4% in 1 year from now? That is nothing as compared to the value the token holders can add. So there are a lot of discussion, and as I mentioned, we really believe that we should. So this is the tweet which we mentioned about, and we use the Cypherglass example. Cypherglass has done a very good tweet series explaining that it doesn't even make sense for Western BPs to share rewards. A lot of people are already talking about that East versus West. It's not a East versus West debate. It's about whether you want to go a path where you're just distributing inflation rewards, and this doesn't make sense. Because most of the exchanges, what they're doing is they're earning based on the trading you do on those exchanges. They're not really using BP rewards. They're just getting foot traffic. And what we believe is that if we really need this EOS to last for 50 years or more, just 50 years is just an example, you need to have good governance. What does it mean? It means that the BPs should be investing into good quality for updates and so on. One example is, this is a very good post here by Jack and Blockstock, and he talks about how the performance of the BPs has come down a little bit by 27%. Is not small actually from January, because at that time we still had some of the very high performance BPs in the top, and some of them like Huobi is performing at half the performance as compared to other BPs. Now, Huobi, as you know, this is something which we highlighted even 1 year back, or maybe more than 1 year back, in Investing with the Difference channel. These are not the greatest of the BPs, even though they may be sharing rewards, or I don't know what else they're doing to trade votes. So yes, it's a problem from perspective of how EOS can grow. And this is why I have been very critical of it. Even Brandon Bloomer came out and talked about why it is okay, and we should look for cheapest block produced. I totally disagree with that, and I believe that what will happen if, like, for example, Greymass, right now we are developing. I work with so many dApps under Blockstart, and everybody's using Greymass libraries, APIs for the history node, because they are the most reliable ones, and they just work. And how many of these top BPs right now are running a public history node? I didn't hear any answer, and nobody is able to give me any response. Similarly, a lot of BPs have spent a lot of effort in upgrading to EOS 1.8. Everybody is looking forward to it next week. By the way, this is again something which I hope all the EOS followers are tracking. So EOS will be upgraded to 1.8, which is a huge upgrade. And what if next year, when EOS 2.0 is launching and no BP is working on it? How will Block 1 has done a huge event in June describing the roadmap, how the great features are coming to EOS in 2.0. and what if all BPs drop out who are adding value? So there are many examples which I think lead me to justify why we need to vote on value, and we will continue to do that. I think a lot of you, I appreciate that we still have 3 million tokens who are voting with Investing with a Difference, who care about long-term health of EOS rather than worrying about the reward, which is still very tiny. I think the 4% annual rewards are nothing. You can actually instead sell your EOS, put it in some kind of a cash deposits, and you will get more confirmed rewards if you're looking for this 2% or 4% rewards, because having a very volatile asset like a cryptocurrency like EOS and hoping that you will get a fixed rewards is actually very bad economically, even for you as a token holder. So I think enough of that, because I don't want to discuss more of these things. It's being discussed in all the channels. What we wanted to focus more on is irrespective of governance. I think remember that governance is not the biggest thing. Governance is not existent in blockchain world. If you see Bitcoin, Ethereum, token holders have no say in who produces blocks. And if we just say that yes, governance is a challenge, that doesn't stop us from believing in EOS, because EOS is still a great technology. We are still building on EOS, and I'm not saying giving up on EOS, while of course all of us want good governance. All of us want the best for in terms of block producers, in terms of the decisions taken, but I think it's not going to stop EOS. Now, one example is, as you all know, we have been working on the layer 2 solutions, which is amazing with Liquid Apps. We have launched recently a moonlighting app under Blockstart. I'm sure many of you are tracking everything EOS interviews. But beyond that, what I wanted to highlight is this article which we wrote from Blockstart, where this is around how we are able to scale right now. So this is just a story. Do read it. I will post a link here. A lot of people have read it already, but if you have not, I would highly recommend you to read it. How EOS ecosystem is unique, how we are still, I think, even though EOS was supposed to be free transactions and there were a lot of issues around RAM cost, even the CPU was a problem. And even recently, we had this huge uproar around the CPU when we had a hack on Friday, which led to kind of a freezing of network because you were not able to make transactions. Again, this is by design, so it's not like something which is a big issue. I will explain it later in this video of what happened. But overall, what I'm trying to highlight is there were concerns, and as the Rex came into picture, we started seeing such a huge saving. Like we are right now, you can do like at a fraction of a penny, you can do transactions on blockchain on EOS using Rex. It's so cheap. The RAM, which everybody is complaining about, I see a lot of tweets and a lot of Telegram groups where people are still complaining that even with Rex, you have to pay for RAM. Now, Moonlighting is a perfect example that they are doing thousands and thousands of transactions every hour. In fact, 20,000 transactions per day, and they are paying such a low cost for RAM by using Liquid Apps, by using dApps network. So layer 2 solutions are already here. Beyond that, we have learned through this process and learning from Rex. We also implemented a pay-as-you-go model for, and we did write an article a couple of weeks back or more on what we are trying to implement with this pay-as-you-go model. And using this, we are actually able to go and even reduce the cost of RAM from $2,000 to to staking like thousands of dollars of worth of dApp token to actually running just a $10 or it is a very small fee which dApps have to pay now to run a huge number of transactions, and none of these things matter anymore. That's what is I think very important when we talk about scaling. And this is not possible on any other chain right now. So this is something which I think technology wise, in terms of progress, it's way better than any other chain. And that's what we should all focus on. While of course, as I mentioned, I'm disappointed with the governance. Specifically, I'm disappointed with the Brandon Bloomer coming and justifying it. While I understand that some people are just going to say that this is going to happen anyway, and he's just trying to be realistic, but I think he represents block one, which is behind the technology, and I'm sure Dan will not come and say that, oh, he intended the votes to be sold for rewards, and that's what the inflation is for. So again, as I said, like, let's focus on what is being built. The other FUD I wanted to focus on, as I said, was around that network froze. Now network froze because somebody was attacking a casino game which had which was not using the random numbers the way they should. They were relying on the previous blocks for the random number generation. Somebody found the bug, and the attack was possible because they could rent a lot of REX. That means they could afford to go and let me look at the REX statistics. So let me load EOS Authority page. Just give me a second. So now if you see, the REX cost was very, very low. And that is actually exactly what we have highlighted in our article of how the real dApps is they can get a lot of transactions very cheap. Now this is a feature. Now somebody who is trying to attack the network, so what happened is the REX cost went up that day, so everybody got benefit because the REX was too cheap. Even now it is too cheap, even after the price went up, but he was able to lease a lot of tokens and orchestrate this attack. Now network recovered itself as it is designed, and all of us had the opportunity. We can all, like, even we were running apps, we also struggled with the same issues. We were able to go and stake more. Some people who had staked less, of course nobody has millions of tokens staked and you were logged out for some time, but this is by design, because using this design only you are able to run that many transactions. Now it was not an attack on the network, it was an attack on a contract. And yes, if by design, if you get one person using a heavy number of transactions for a short time, it can lock you out. There is no way to guarantee it other than giving you a lot of extra transactions. So that means you are staking much more. The only way you can guarantee more bandwidth for everybody is by increasing the price. So whether you say that you want 99.9% of the times very, very low cost and these kind of great applications where you can run thousands and thousands of transactions every day, or you decide to get guaranteed transactions and increase the cost for everybody. So I think it's still a good reason how EOS is designed, and nothing is ideal. Just like we have issues in Bitcoin or Ethereum when there's a lot of network load, I think blockchains will always suffer from that, and this is why layer 2 solutions are even more critical. So I would say that as we go and develop more and more on layer 2 solutions, we will see these things settle down. But 99.99% of the times, EOS is still a reliable, high-performing network. It still can, it recovered very fast as well. If you do the similar kind of attack and you are able to actually send so many transactions in like 1 or 2 hours, the way the attacker sent, Ethereum and Bitcoin backlog will not even recover for maybe many days. That's how many pending transactions they will accumulate. In EOS, we recovered within 2 hours because the dynamic resource allocation, it automatically kicks the person out beyond a point unless he keeps staking more and more. So that's how it works. So this is all the details I wanted to share as my opinion, because I don't see anybody talking about these things which are important. As I mentioned, EOS governance, yes, is facing challenges, but no other blockchain in the history, like even the best of the best, have no governance. So it was experiment always. EOS is still DPoS experiment was new, and we are still learning. And as the token distribution changes, like let's say we have more and more adoption, more and more big apps come in, more people will be buying EOS in different part of the world. The token distribution will change, and there is always hope, because still, even though this vote trading is happening, vote buying is happening, ultimately it's the decision of token holders. And today, most of the token holders are deciding that they want a yield, like a 3 or 4% yield on their tokens, rather than looking for the health of the BPs. Because nothing is going wrong. The actual, even the exchanges, maybe they're not performing as well as other BPs, but network is still strong. There is nobody who is facing any challenges. And this is also visible. Let me go back to the chart. So give me some time while Binance is loading. So this is the EOS versus Bitcoin chart. While all this FUD is going on, what is going on with your EOS freezing and all the FUD around CPU issues, the FUD around the vote buying, selling, look at the price. In terms of Bitcoin, EOS has been one of the best performing token in last 1 week, and it is continuously going up. Of course, it has fallen a lot if you go and zoom out, just like any other alt. I think a lot of other alt have been struggling. So let me take you to the coin market cap just to have a look at the market. So we do see that we have a very challenging situation where Bitcoin has been stable around $10,000 and rest of everybody has suffered in last few months. We have a Bitcoin dominance at almost in last couple of years at all-time high around 70. It actually went above 70% before last couple of days when actually EOS is recovering and many other altcoins are recovering. I would say this is still a Bitcoin dominated market, and within that EOS is actually recovering faster than anything else in last couple of days if you see the charts. And as I showed you in EOS versus Bitcoin chart, we had a huge 30% jump in the actual Bitcoin terms for EOS. And this is exactly what happened if you remember in early part of 2019. If you go back in this chart, we had seen a huge rally in EOS, and EOS was the leading indicator of the alt rally, along with the Litecoin and Binance. So I don't know if EOS is still acting as a leading indicator. That time will tell. But there is hope that now that we have topped out on dominance at 70%, and if this dominance improves, then there's a good chance, I believe, that EOS can go up. Again, let me be very clear, it's not an investment advice. None of that I say should be taken as advice for investments. I'm just happy to be back here because I think we had gone through this issues on our YouTube channel in last couple of days. But even before that, I was not very active. So because we were working on building our accelerator, building all these apps. So we are still actively working on other apps to bring them to EOS, and there are a lot of real businesses, a lot of enterprise applications who are interested. So we will continue to work on that, and next time we will do a lot more dApp focused show, and we will also take your questions. So let's do that, and do send us your feedback. Do join us on Telegram channel here. Do join us on Twitter. We are seeing a lot of active discussions happening, and that's where I think we are most active these days, because it's easy as compared to recording a video and allocating time. So I hope that we will be back soon, but do send us your feedback, and I hope that you're not disappointed with all the negative news around EOS or in general with this whole market, because it has been very frustrating of 2019 when we had a lot of hope in early part of the year, when Bitcoin is still doing very well, but I think because of the institutional focus right now, the altcoins are suffering very, very heavily. And if you have not done a good allocation, I'm sure many of the people who believed in alts more than Bitcoin, they are suffering more. And as I said, we still have a pretty good reasons to believe that the platforms which are developing, they will keep growing, and that's something which we will keep looking for in EOS world. So thank you once again for joining. As I mentioned that we did have issues around some rogue elements complaining about spam or negative comments about our channel. So any more likes, subscribes or share will help us retain our ratings with Google on the YouTube itself, and do help us in that regard. And definitely I will try to come back more often to talk to you and share my opinions. Thanks a lot, guys, and talk to you very soon. Bye bye.